So starting off, can you introduce yourself and your business?
Yeah. So I am. My name is Wes, and I am with Crafted Exterior Services out of Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Awesome. And how did you hear about me and Lightning Growth?
So yeah, it started with a phone call from you. You had some another client who had some work in my area, and just so happened that you were trying to send it over to me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to contact that person just because, yeah, they weren't answering or things like that. But you had followed up on it several times, which then led us to have the conversation of, hey, this is what I do and what I can do for you.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So what ultimately led you to join?
Very down to earth. So I'm one where I am inundated with phone calls on a daily. It's just astronomical, and people trying to get my business constantly. And very few people ever really do because it's always a sales pitch. It's always a tactic. Not much works. It's just not effective and straightforward about it. I mean, I just had this feeling on the phone when I was talking to you that it was a little bit different, and so ultimately I went and said, hey, let's let me hear you and then see what you have
Yeah,
to say.
awesome. I appreciate that. So were you skeptical at first? I know people reach out to you all the time for similar services.
No, no, and only because when you had already tried to pass over a lead to me, and
Mhm.
so for that it already tuned me in. When somebody tries to give me a lead, and even though yes, in that case it didn't work out, I do tend to listen a little bit more. I'll take the time and straightforward because I just don't have time to talk to folks. But you made that easy because again, you were trying to give me something and trying to help.
Yeah, awesome. All right. And I mean, were there any obstacles at all that almost prevented you from, joining up and signing up?
No, I mean, financially, anything like that was never an issue for me. We obviously you gave some options when it came to pricing things like that, and the reality is, I said, I want to go all out right from the get go. But that's just the type of person I am. It's my personality. Where if I want to do it, I'm going to just invest the money, invest the time, and say, hey, let's make this work or not.
Oh yeah, awesome. And you had worked with other kind of lead generation services in the past or marketing agencies, right? Like Angie's.
Yeah, yeah. So I have worked with Angie, Google, et cetera, because now they all offer, those types of services.
Mhm.
And, I'm not sitting here saying that some are good and some are really bad. Angie being one of those that anybody knows I just cannot stand. But with that said, working with you, it really hasn't been that way. I mean, it's actually, it's kind of nice because I do get a constant communication. And even though, yes, I'm very busy and a lot of times I can't respond, things like that. At least I know you're taking the time to look at what we're doing, maybe revisiting our ads, et cetera, and kind of planning around that so that we can make sure that we're driving leads the way we need to.
Gotcha. Okay. And can you speak brutally honestly about the first month working together?
Yeah, yeah. So first one with you was great. I mean, honestly, it was really, really good. From a leads perspective, really bad. I mean, it was just horrible. Um, hey, the area we don't have we don't have a lot of high end clients here. Put it like that. But what I do on the daily is yes, more of that median income to upper income family. And so our first leads, were kind of a lot of trailers. And we're not talking just like I don't mind a trailer. These were really bad. um, but you know what? It took, putting a bunch of lines into the water, and then eventually we caught a fish. And then we caught one fish, and we caught another fish, and we caught another fish. And in turn, that led to some fish that had a lot of friends. And so that has now, and I'm not saying it's been for all of them. It's specifically one that I can think of, that potentially will be a huge client for me in the future, and moving forward. But you know what? It's also opened the door for me to the side of my business that I don't get a lot of traction on. And that is like standing seam, for metal roofs. that is a good business for me. I mainly focus on shingle, and the reality is it's opened the door a lot bigger for me than what it has in the past. Because I've definitely, I can tell you now, since being with you this year alone, I've sold more standing seam in these past 3 months than what I have for the entire year.
Wow, that's awesome. Um, okay, so what would you say that you like working about? What would you like about working with me, like specifically?
So I think if I was to sit here and say what I like the most is there is communication. I'll give a great example of like Town Square. I did hire Town Square this year, and this lady had literally hunted me down for a year and a half. And she was to the point where she was about to give up. And I told her, I said, just keep trying, keep trying. Maybe eventually I'll use it. I, I went and finally pulled the trigger. I said, hey, I'm going to use your service. I have never heard from her since. And so then when I look at my ads and everything else, and the way that they do things, I do get a monthly communication email. That is it. Whereas with you, there is actual a human being, and I'm not getting passed around. I'm not talking to 20 strangers that I've never met that are trying to talk to me about insight on my page. No, it's none of that whatsoever. It is direct. We know exactly what's going on. If something's happening through those ads, you're sending that to me saying, hey, did you see this? And that means a lot to me. It really does.
That's awesome. Okay. And on the flip side of that, what do you dislike the most about working with me?
Um, I mean, I don't really have anything. I mean, if I disliked anything, straightforward, I'd fire you.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I don't, I mean, it's working, the downside is, it's like last month, did we have a slower month? Absolutely. But that's a part of business, and you have to be prepared for that. And you have to know, that it's not always going to be, flying high, 12 months out of the year. What it does do is still brings in those leads that are potential prospects that will come in. So I look at it now and I'm like, well, there's all these prospects, and it's like this weekend where we've had just a massive blow up over there. And those are all potential prospects that will, it's the end of August, but guess what? September probably going to be a blowout for us.
Right. Awesome. And what were some of the kind of issues, or maybe not issues necessarily, but when you hired us, what problems were you looking to solve, or what were you looking to gain?
I mean, the biggest thing is just getting out there. I sit here and I look at other third party, well, let's just say Angie. Okay, use them as an example. They're really not advertising for me, and even though I pay for that, that's what I'm paying for. I paid for my ads to be ran through them, because now they have a couple different programs. And with that said, they're not promoting you. That's fake. It's not a real. It's not a real expectation that they set forth. It's completely fake. They lie to you, and I just don't care for that. Whereas, with you and what you've really brought to the table is the fact that my ads are out there. People are seeing that brand. Everybody sees my trucks. I mean, my trucks are wild. They're the craziest things around, and everybody knows that. But now they're seeing an online presence with it too, because, they go in and all they have to do is one time search for that roofer, and then they see, oh, that's the guy with the crazy trucks. Well, they click on that, and then they get followed by me essentially. So, and that's where they're going to see more of me, over the next 30 days or whatever it is. And that's important, and them seeing the ads, on Facebook and things like that. I mean, it really it makes them feel secure that they're making a good decision because they can see that we have such a large presence now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's awesome. So kind of getting into the numbers now, the actual return on investment. Do you have any idea how much additional revenue you've added since we started working together 3 months ago?
No, I can straightforward tell you no. And only because, and I will, I will tell you, I don't know, because I've been testing a bunch of different things. What I do know is that yes, numbers are up drastically. They are up drastically. And when I look at it, I sit back and, from a number standpoint, I had two back, which was June and July, back to back of numbers that I had never had before. So that was really good. It has been a record year this year. It will continue to be a record year. And yeah, I mean, we're on pace to just absolutely blow this year out of the water.
If you don't mind me asking, what are you on pace to hit revenue wise this year?
So we'll probably, I mean, and keep in mind, it's just a one-man show here, but
Yeah,
excluding the team. But I mean, honestly, from the behind the scenes and and the sales and everything else, it's just one dude. But we'll probably come in between that range. And I know it's a wide range, but I just don't know yet. But we'll probably end up around 1.2 to 1.5 million.
that's awesome. That's so sweet. And how much did you do last year?
Last year I did just over 900,000. So I'd say like 918.
Oh, so this will be your first year at seven figures.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's sweet. That is sweet. Okay. Um, and so I know you don't know the number specifically, but if you had to give a rough range of, was it 10 to 20 or 20 to 50 or 50 to 100 revenue wise, like how much do you think we helped you add?
So I would say guesstimate. I mean, we're looking, and I can pull numbers here real quick. I think
Okay.
I got you up here. So let me try on the phone. Okay, so if I look here, all right. Click this. Yeah, so we are up drastically here. I would say you're probably looking around 10%. That's my guesstimate right now. Maybe
10% of total revenue.
yeah, yeah, or 10% increase. I think
Oh, 10% increase in revenue.
yeah, through my leads, we're seeing around a 10% increase. Because keep in mind, the beginning of the year was really good, but I did have a bad month. And that was back in like what was that? That
It was
was,
May, right?
let's go here. It was March. And March and May were
March.
my two bad months of the year. So, with that said, I had those two bad months. And that kind of pulled things down to reality almost, because I would have, if had we, had I blown those 2 months out, I would have absolutely seen, yeah, I think 1.5, we would have crushed probably 1.5 for sure.
Wow.
But yeah, it obviously
Okay.
it's led to so much more. I mean, on a side note, it's led more for me because now I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I'm sitting here saying I'm at a place where I never thought I would grow beyond me being me and kind of keeping this company to where it was close to me. And the reality is now, I'm looking at expansion into other states and, hiring salesmen and potentially hiring, managers that are going to run those areas. Um, I just have to ultimately pull that trigger and back it up. And
That's
that's
super exciting. All right. So was there anything about our service that surprised you?
yeah, I mean, just the actual communication. So the biggest surprise of all is that a lot of people talk a lot of things and they're not true. And you've definitely been there. I mean, the entire time. I mean, every step of the way. I mean, if somebody's sending a message over there, and obviously I don't look at that kind of stuff. I don't have the time, and I'm just not a Facebook guy. But you are informing me like, hey, this is going on. Hey, this person's saying this. Hey, this person's saying that. And that's really surprising in today's world, because what happens is people will go and sell you on something and then not deliver on what they said at all. And all they're really doing is just going and saying, hey, but we're going to put this on an automatic pay. And guess what? We as business owners, we forget about that. And so it's just continually just paying them every month, and they're not doing anything for us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of that in this industry for sure. Okay. I have a few more questions here that we can just kind of run through. What was one unexpected benefit that you experienced from working with me, if
Uh,
any?
I mean, again, communication. Absolutely. That is the unexpected benefit. And because you alert me when I don't see alerts. Yes, the alerts come to my phone, but at halftime I'm not paying attention to it. I'm talking to, clients that are really in front of me. And that is one thing that I think you're on top of. I mean, when
Yeah.
somebody's saying something or that they need something. In case
Gotcha.
like this morning where you're like, hey, have you seen this? And I'm like, yeah, like
Yeah.
I know at 9 o'clock.
All right. Um, so if you could use one word to describe your experience with me so far, what would it be and why?
I think it's been great. So I'd say great,
Great.
the main reason being is you're generating leads for me. Not only are you generating leads, but you're also communicating. You're doing what you said you would do, and for that, I'm thankful.
Awesome. Okay. No, I appreciate that. That's great feedback. So if you had to choose one, then what would be your favorite feature of our service, and how has it made your life easier?
Favorite feature of your service? Let's see here. I'd say simplicity. The beginning was really bad when it came to trying to figure this out. I'm not a tech guy. And when I say tech guy, I mean, I'm not a social media dude. I don't even have that. And
Yeah.
yet, for me, that there's now a lot of simplicity with that. And the way that the fact that now I'm able to go in there and actually see I now respond sometimes, because I'm just like, I want to respond to some of these people, because I'm like, it's either I don't like the comment, or or I do and I want to respond. But even when I don't like the comment, I put it in a very nice way that obviously sounds, I think, very, very nice to them. But typical Facebook shit. So take that and cut that out. But
No, that makes a lot of sense. No, I remember when we first started working together, it was kind of tough to get the Facebook set up, and
yeah,
there was a
that's
lot
horrible.
of logistics,
Horrible.
but and we figured it out, and I'm glad you stuck through it. A lot of people would just say, "Oh, f this, I'm done," like too complicated. But now you stuck through it, and I feel like you're seeing the results you're seeing some benefits as a result. All right, so last question here. What would you say to someone who's considering working with us?
Absolutely. I think if they got to see what's financially right for them at the end of the day. But if you got the means, absolutely do it. It is a good decision. I have been doing this for 21 years, and this game wasn't like this 21 years ago. We all know that. We know we're in this new realm of how marketing works, etc. And we have been for years. But with that said, what I can tell you is that these other companies make a lot of promises and they don't deliver. They don't follow through. They're never going to talk to you again. They're going to get you to sign up. They're going to take your money and they're going to make it seem really cheap. They're going to say, "Oh, it's $500 a month." And they say, "But we're going to put you on an auto sign up, or auto pay." And guess what? At the end of the year, you forget about the auto pay. And so there you go. You lost $6,000 because it didn't bring any traction to you whatsoever. And yeah, you know what? I pay way more than that when it comes to you. But I also will sit there and tell somebody it is worth it. It's 100% worth it. Give it a chance, give it 30 days. And after that 30 days, yeah, maybe sit down and reevaluate. But even then, give it 60. Because for me, it took 60 days. It wasn't the 30, it took 60. But once it hit, it paid for itself. I mean, I've sold 2 jobs that I can tell you now will pay for this year alone, for the year alone. So, for me, and granted, it probably isn't the entire year, but it would be very close. And so to me, that is worth it. So if I can go and sit there and say, well, I can pay for this for the rest of the year and still be getting all those leads, that's a win.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Wes, I've really enjoyed working with you, and I appreciate you being so transparent and giving such great feedback, and for also starting your week off with me here.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, no, that was really everything I had. Yeah, I just appreciate working with you so much. It's been awesome. And yeah, I'll start working on some of those new ad ideas, maybe send you some different ideas when it comes to the 1,000-year warranty thing, and then we can get going from there.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, Wes, have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too, brother.
See ya.